Welcome to the world of exploration. Welcome to the world of learning. Let's start exploring. Let's start learning. This is your very own educator, Sukriti Joshi ma'am, and this is the one-stop destination wherein we can all learn together and we can all grow together, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So we were doing Vistas, right? And we were doing the first lesson, the first chapter of Vistas. And what is the name of the first chapter, or how is it titled? The title is The Third Level, right? And it is written by Jack Finney, right? It is written by Jack Finney, right? Clear? All right. Now I would be sharing. So this is the part two. I would say the second part video, right? The first part of the video has been uploaded. This is the second part, and I'm gonna upload this part soon, and then the coming parts would be coming, you know, up would be uploaded in a few days, right? So because I can't complete the entire chapter in one go, so yeah. All right, so what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So I'll just share. Wait. All right, now. So we were on the second page, right? So anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. So what are we see very important thing you should note is, first and foremost, we are talking about the narrator, right? So we are talking about, because he's narrating the events, right? Because he thinks that he has seen the third level. He thinks that he has been to the third level, one, two, three. Whereas, other people, his own friend Sam Wiener and others, they think that there are only two levels, one and two. But he's the narrator is sort of different. He holds a different opinion altogether because he has experienced something which is different. But others cannot believe the fact that what he's saying is the reality, right? That is precisely why the when I was discussing the pre-reading activity, when I discussed this question, that what was the question? I'll just come to it. The questions stated that, have you ever had any curious experience which others find hard to believe, right? So similarly over here, what we can witness is that other people cannot perceive or cannot think of how and what you have been through. It's only you, it's up to you, what you have seen, what you have been through, what you might have imagined, what could have been the figment of imagination, right? Or what could have been the reality. Might You might be thinking it in a different manner, others might be thinking in a different manner. You might be seeing it from a different perspective, others might be seeing it from a different perspective altogether, right? All right, so now let's get started with the second part of this video, right? So anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. Again, very important, please make sure that you are highlighting or underlining whatever you might feel comfortable with, highlighting the sentences or the words, the vocabulary that I am highlighting over here in this video, right? So keep your textbooks ready whenever I make any sort of video. I want you guys also to be ready with your books and simultaneously, so that we can study simultaneously. This way it would be a one-to-one class, a one-to-one session. See, one night last summer, I worked late at the office. I was in a hurry. So now from here, the entire story would start, that how the events occurred. So basically, what we see over here is that the third level is basically a story that weaves together a psychological journey of the narrator, right? That's what I've spoken before as well, into the past, present, and future, right? How future? Because it is moving towards future, right? Is that clear? Because we are talking about the third level. There's always a human tendency to constantly move between the past, present, and the future. So, this story is actually highlighting the fact that we are in the habit, or we have that tendency of, what do you call it? Of dwindling, of oscillating between the present and the past and the future, right? Clear? Past, present, and future are strategically and organically interconnected. So they're interconnected. So whether we talk about the past or present or future, they're interconnected, right? All right. Then we have, we all know that we are all mortal beings, right? And we have good and bad aspects like love, profit, loss, good, bad, so on and so forth. All these aspects tend to affect the human mind. So all these aspects. So we have love in our lives. For example, the narrator had his wife. So he had love in his life, so that's why, when I read out his wife got mad at him, it was because of the fact that, as if his wife is not loving or not caring, but she used to love him, and he had his life and love with him, right? So we are talking about love, we are talking about profit, we are talking about loss, we are talking about destruction, we are talking about um, different aspects of life, right? All right, then all these aspects tend to affect the human mind. So all these aspects, they tend to affect the human mind. Then existential worries act like a catalyst, right? So these are the existential worries, or what should I say? Existential worries and the agonies, right, of life, that tend to act like a catalyst, for making the human mind constantly move between the past, the present, and the future. The third level is a study of human mind caught in the cycle of time. So it's actually a study between it's actually the study of the mind, you know, um, of the human mind, um, caught in the cycle of time. How cycle of time? Because we are talking about the past, we're talking about the present, and we are going to talk about the future as well, right? We are talking about future as well. Okay. So when people in the present time want to escape the problems, and because of the stress, because of the problems, ordeals, difficulties, blah blah blah, you all know what we are facing in the modern day lives, right? For example, the Ukraine Russia war. For example, let's just take our own example, India Pakistan war. How our people died in Kashmir. So how they actually had conspired against India, and they wanted to take over the territory, and they wanted to just send the message to our prime minister, to our revered prime minister Narendra Modi ji, that how they can do whatever. You might be aware about that. So these are the problems, these are the ordeals, these are the war like situations, wherein wherein there's a lot of stress. I think you have got the point, right? So one night last summer, I worked late at the office. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment. So obviously he worked late at the office. That means there was some kind of a tension, or there was some kind of a stress, there was some kind of stress or some sort of tension that was obviously piled up or was piling up, right? I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from the Grand Central station. From the Grand Central, right? So now he decided who I refers to the narrator who is narrating the story, obviously, right? So I decided to take the subway from Grand Central. Over here, station should have also been mentioned in the examination hall. Do mention Grand Central Station because it was Grand Central, right? Station because it's faster than the bus. Why? Why did he choose this? Because he chose to take the subway from Grand Central instead of the bus because it was faster than the bus. The comparison can also come, so be ready, right? You have to make sure that you're ready for the upcoming exams because they're gonna decide your future. Obviously, your habits and your routines and your hard work would actually define your character, your future, and everything. And obviously, your sense of morals and ethics would decide how responsible you tend to become, right? Yeah. In future, I want all my students to be well informed, to be well aware, to be responsible citizens of India and to contribute towards their nation, that is India, right? Now I don't know why this should have happened to me. I'm just an ordinary guy named Charlie. Now the name is revealed. So I told you about Sam Wiener, who was the psychiatrist of the narrator. Now, herein the name of the narrator has been revealed, right? So now he's just talking about that how he is just an ordinary guy, right? Named Charlie, 31 years old. And what's the age? You should remember that also. You should keep in mind because in MCQs, you know, uh, the examiner can tend have the tendency to ask age and all that stuff. So you should definitely keep in mind all these minor points as well, along with the major points, poet's name of the poem, right? And the major lines that I have made you highlight, right? Apart from it, age, you should definitely remember 31 years old. So Charlie was 31 years old, 31 years old. You can remember it like the third level. So obviously three digit, three numbers there and one, right? 31 years old, the first chapter. So it's the first chapter. So he was 31 years old. Try to make associations, right? And I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me, and I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. Now, the name of the wife also gets revealed. And what is the name of the wife? The name of the wife is Louisa, right? Who he actually who he actually loved, right? He was in a bad relationship, or he wasn't in a bad marriage wherein he was facing problems on a daily basis. He wasn't having any sort of fights. That's why she was mad at him, because she thought that we never, we didn't have fights. So why is he so upset? There shouldn't be any matter that he gets upset, right? So that he should be worried, or that he should be depressed about or stressed about, right? And so he was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. You should remember all of it. This is very important. What was he wearing? Tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. I passed a dozen men. So he passed a lot of, some people, a dozen men who looked just like me. So they looked just like, according to him, they looked like they appeared to be similar in nature. And I wasn't trying to escape from anything. And here again, he's stating the fact that, he wasn't trying to escape from anything. That means he's reiterating the fact that, he's not escaping from reality. Try to understand me. That's what he's saying, not me. Obviously, yeah, try to understand me, your Sukriti ma'am. But do try to understand do try to understand the narrator, uh, with Charlie, the narrator's point of view, right? That's what he's saying. That try to understand me. I'm not lying. I am not trying to escape from any harsh realities of life or difficulties of life. Yeah. I just wanted to go home. So he just wanted to go home. He just wanted to get back home to Louisa, who was his wife, right? I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century, right? So then he turned into who I. Remember that we are talking about who I refers to Charlie, the narrator of this lesson. Who is the character? Who is the narrator of this lesson, right? All right. I turned into Grand Central. Again, important, Grand Central is the name, right? From Vanderbilt Avenue. From where? So I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level. And then he went down. Then he went down the steps to the first level, right? Where you take trains. So this is, suppose, for instance, this is the first level. This is acting as a kind of a platform from wherein you take trains, right? You might be going to airports, you might be going to railway stations, so for or metro stations nowadays. I have all right, metro stations I have not explored much, but railway stations and airports, you get to see, suppose there's a first level, and from where you have to catch a train. So you take trains like the 20th century. So it was quite similar to the 20th century era or epoch, so to say. All right. Then I walked down another flight to the second level, where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway, heading for the subway, and got lost. And then he got lost. Right? So then what? I again narrator, right? I stands for narrator over here. He walked down another flight to the second level. So he then had gone to the second level, right? Where the suburban trains leave from, right? Ducked into an arched doorway, heading for the subway. And he ultimately, what did he do? He got lost. That's easy to do. I've been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times. So obviously that's easy to do, you can. And I've been, and he's stating that he has been to Grand Central, obviously, because it was just like, for example, if you're going to if you're going to your school, you guys are in school, you guys are studying in standard 12, right? So you might be commuting on a daily basis, right? Either through a cab um or through a car, um or through metro, or through bus, or through um motorbike or scooty, whatever you might be commuting through, you have a routine, right? Routine. So he was also having that sort of a routine, right? But I'm always bumping into new doorways. So I've been in and out of so he has been in, that means inside, and out, that means, obviously exiting, right? So exit, he did enter, and he didn't got out of Grand Central hundreds of times, right? But I'm always, bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. But every time, I am bumping, I'm as if, bumping into new doorways are just sort of opening up. I don't know from where. I'm over here again refers to the narrator. So from where do they appear? I have no clue, but there are always new doorways, new stairs, new stairs and corridors, right? Once I got into a tunnel. So once I got into a tunnel, right, about a mile long, and came out in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Very important. Again, underline this. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. Now remember, we have already spoken about 4 blocks. We are now talking about 3 blocks away. So another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 4 6, only 1 digit difference. So you can remember 46th Street, 3 blocks away. The name of the lesson is the third level. Again, 3 blocks you can remember. Try to make associations. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. So, he's just pondering over, he's just wondering over that. Sometimes, that he thinks, who? The narrator. That, it's just growing like a massive giant tree. This Grand Central is growing like a tree, pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots. So it's like pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots, right? There's probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about, feeling its way under the city, right? So he's again thinking of the fact that there's probably a long tunnel that nobody is familiar with, or about that nobody knows about, and feeling its way under the city right now, on its way to Times Square. So now he's on his way to Times Square, and maybe another to the Central Park. And maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into, but I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. So he has never ever spoken about that. Yeah. So he has never ever, told his friend who is a psychiatrist. So I have mentioned before, the name of the psychiatrist is Sam Wiener, and he is actually Charlie's friend, right? So he doesn't know about it because he has who uh, this psychiatrist Sam doesn't know about what Charlie is hiding from him, obviously, right? So that how Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. So it's a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into, but I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. The corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downward, and I thought that was wrong, but I kept on walking. All I could hear was the empty sound of my own footsteps, and I didn't pass a soul. So now, how is it possible? Can you imagine you walking in a rail? Suppose, for instance, just take an example of that you are you are going in a metro or in a what do you call it? um uh railways, no, uh yeah, so whatever. So for example, let's take an example of metro station only, right? So for example, you are going in a metro, and you come across obviously thousands of people or millions of people, not millions but thousands of people you come across on a daily basis, right? If you go by metro, um if you go by if you go by train, then you again come across many thousand, you might be coming across lakhs of people, right? So how is it even possible that similarly this is the same situation? So this you can relate, right? Or in an airport again, you might be finding a lot of people, but over here, how is it possible that he didn't even see a single soul? He didn't even pass a single soul, right? Soul here refers to the people all around, right? Earlier, remember how it was mentioned that he used to pass 1,000 souls. Now it's mentioned he did not pass even a single soul. So then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead, that the tunnel turned sharp left. So I heard the sort of hollow roar. So he also heard a hollow roar ahead. That means open space and people talking. So that means open space. So hollow roar is also symbolic. What does it symbolize? It symbolizes over here. What does it symbolize? Let me just uh, text. So it's again symbolic. Uh, Yeah. So it's again symbolic. Mm, color. So it's again symbolic, right? Now, oh, yeah. So people talking. So what does it symbolize? Hollow roar ahead. That means open space. That there is a open space and people can, people are seen talking. They are seen. The tunnel turned sharp left. I went down a short flight of stairs. So there's this description and came out. And then he came out on the third level. So then he came out at the or on the third level at Grand Central Station. Now, how, people have seen and they are talking about the first and the second levels. They have been through the first and second levels. How can he travel to, or how can he go down a short flight of stairs and come to the third level at Grand Central Station? How is it possible? For just a moment, I thought I was back on the second level. So for just a moment, for a tiny little moment, he thought that, he was back on the second level. But I saw the room was smaller. There were fewer ticket windows and train gates. And the information booth in the center was wood and old looking. And the man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. Then I saw why they were open flame gas lights. Now, so, um, for just a moment, I thought I was back on the second level, but I saw the room was smaller. But now there's a difference. You have to see. the difference. Now the difference was that the room was smaller. There were fewer ticket windows. There were fewer ticket windows and train gates were also few, right? And the information booth in the center uh, was wood and old looking. So wood symbolizes is actually a symbol of ancient uh thing. Wood is actually symbolic um of the ancient era, yeah, so to say. Then uh um and old looking, and the man in the booth wore a green eye shade, and the man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering, so they were sort of dim and sort of flickering like this. Then I saw why. They were open flame gas lights. There were brass spitons on the floor, and across the station of a glint of light caught my eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. You might have seen in the movies, if you uh, have seen English movies. I'm not such a big fan of Hollywood, but in fact, I'm not such a big fan of English movies. But you guys might have seen, or even heard about it, that there used to be gold watches. I actually had all I possessed that golden watch. My grandmom and my granddad had that. So when I was small, I had seen that. It used to be like this, like a clock, and it used to be with the waistcoat or coat, whatever you call it, vest it vest uh, there used to be a vest pocket, so they used to keep that gold watch in order to show off. So in those days, if you wanted to show off, like now, most of the people, I don't believe in that, but most of the people and celebrities, they are um uh, promoting the brands, the international, so-called international brands like Dior, or so on and so forth. But you should promote your Indian brand. That's what I believe in, right? So local is the real actually the local brands should be promoted, but they should be of good quality. I wouldn't wouldn't tell you to compromise on the quality of the product, but definitely promote Indian sellers as well. He snapped open the cover, glanced at his watch, and frowned. He wrote a derby hat. Oh, sorry, he wore a derby hat, a black four button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black bar, handlebar mustache. So in those times, handlebar mustache used to be there. Then I think now again that sort of fashion is there, but I just don't like it. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in the station was dressed like 1890 something. So now he's wondering that, see, I told you that there's gonna be a lot of difference. So this is the difference. These are the different points that we are talking about. So um these are the differences that we get to see, and this is he thought to himself that all these things reminded him of 1890 something, 1890s. So he, because in the very starting, what did we see? We saw that in the very starting, in the very beginning, again, um uh, I made you an underline, no? Yeah, over here, 20th century. So we were talking about 20th century, and now we have reached to the point wherein we are talking about 1890s, right? Something. I never, and that to 1890 something, right? I never saw many beads, beards. I never saw, sorry, I never saw many beards, sideburns, and fancy mustaches in my life. Um, a woman walked in through the train gate. She wore a dress with leg of mutton sleeves and skirts to the top of her high buttoned shoes. Back of her on the tracks, I caught a glimpse of a locomotive, a very small carrier, and Ives locomotive with a funnel shaped stack, and then I knew, right? So again, please underline it, highlight it. All right, I'll meet you in the next session. For now, this is it. This is your very own educator, teacher, philosopher, guide, mentor, friend, preacher, one and all. And this is the one-stop destination that is English Gurukul, wherein we can all meet with each other, wherein we can all um connect with each other, all right, and wherein we all can learn with each other, and we all can grow with each other. So let's all learn together, let's all grow together. This is Sukriti Joshi signing off. All right, till then, namaste, radhe radhe, Jai Shri Krishna.